So then we are back with more understandings from the time of the Second Tabernacle services, where we find the Aramaic English translation of the word. This translation comes from the original manuscripts of the prophets of the Tzayelic lineage. So then we can understand the time of the end as per Yeshayahu the prophet. We find layers of understanding of the spring feast, the autumn feast, and also the returning of the cities of the Messiah laid waste from many centuries. As we read then Yeshayahu, we begin our quest, understanding then the 61st chapter, where then the Messiah himself completed the spring feast. In many cultures today, the Savior that people understand also is linked with the completion of the spring feast, though many nations don't understand this fact. But let's then consider what's going on with the world, so then we can understand also Daniel, the 11th chapter, explaining then chapter 11 and then verse 8, where then Egypt then becomes a greater player during the time of the restoration period. As it was then, based from the reports from September, simply a couple of months ago, the Soviet Union has made a great deal with Egypt, and it is obviously an initial deal regarding arms purchase, but then these arms purchase must become greater than before. So let's evaluate what's going on with Isol, or then the sons of Ishmael, because it is important for us to understand they came from the relationship of Ibrahim and Hagar, and the Arab nations obviously are going to become more focused upon Egypt, because that's where then the HQ of the Isol movement should be at. As the Holy Instructions then is teaching us, you find then these people, those who are involved with the southern kingdom, explains then the sons of Ishmael gathering in Egypt. That's where you find then the sons, meaning then the sons of Ishmael, because of the relationship of Hagar and Ibrahim, and then gathering themselves in Egypt. So Egypt is the headquarters of the movement of Isol. So let's understand further on, because then from this establishment we can understand then later the coming of the Soviets with much equipment. At this point in time should be enough for us to understand the importance of the Soviet Union returning as then the protector of the Chinese system. The world obviously is tired, and many people are without jobs. The economy is bad, and the West unfortunately was a failure and is a failure. So we must understand a point. When the holy cities first went down and then became desolate as per the instructions of Yeshayahu the prophet, then the West became then the center focus, because the forward motion that should be with the holy cities was then openly in the world, and Hashatan was able to seize these forward motion, and he went to the West with it, and there was a competition of East and West. And it was so for the 1,000 years. But then the 1,000 years has ended, as per the prophecy, and we read in the law, this period of time already expired. Obviously, you find then the East once again becoming more prominent, and China itself leads the world of trade with the 57% of the market only by itself. Thus then, after 09, we are then during the time of the Dragonic period, and every nation must be joined with the Chinese system. So then nations are expecting to receive more from China, and the linkages must be done much greater, and a much greater pace and velocity, so then people can get jobs and do what they want, as long as the West is then influencing and interfering, the worse it gets. The more people and nations are linked with China, the easier it becomes, and then people can do what they want. For this reason then, there is a link with China, the forwarding of China and linking up the other nations, and also ISIL becoming then headquartered in Egypt. But then there is a final situation regarding Egypt and regarding the sons of Ishmael. They must merge. At this point in time, ISIL is enemy of Egypt, and vice versa. At some point, per the holy instructions, then they must find a mid-term, or then a halfway of each side, and becoming then joint. It won't take place at the first, but then will take place at the second. So you find these very clearly stated in Daniel the 11th chapter. Obviously I have to read from the Israelic lineage and not the Greco-Roman. And because of this, next time I'm going to evaluate more what's going on in the world, since these videos are shorter, to make them easier to understand. But then also we have to have time to explain then the prophecies of the Messiah himself later. So please stay tuned. Much more coming up.